by 2016 as a year of turbulence, as a year of disruption?
I think 2016 has generally been a tough year for the telecom industry, with a lot of money gone into the spectrum auctions coming through, moving from 3G mid broadband to really going to LTE 4G. So it's been a very eventful year, yet it's been tough on the industry in terms of investment cycles, return on capital, generally stock prices, and the overhang of Jio's launch, which was impending for most of the year, which came through in the last quarter.
You know, the buzzword here in a lot of the sessions is creative destruction, but that's not what you're seeing in your industry today, are you?
No. I mean, in our industry, just more of the same is happening. A big, powerful player has come in. It's the same products, the same services. It's not that this industry is being disrupted by a new technology. So it's just one new player. And of course, it's a big player. So that creates a disruption. And the smaller players, as you know, are all packing up one by one. Videocon is gone, MTS is gone. Other small ones are finding ways and means to combine, join, exit. All sorts of things are going on. So,
are you going to have any role to play in any of those possible exits?
We always have a role to play. I mean, sometimes we play a passive role, sometimes we play an active role.
Are you in the market to play an active role?
No, I'm always open to talk, and everybody talks to me. The good thing about our industry is that being the veteran of this industry now, nearly 23 years, almost everybody talks to me. So we talk, we sometimes
Has
agree.
Telenor called you?
Yes, Sigve and I are good friends. We talk all the time. He's in difficulty. He has to find a way out in India. And,
are you going to be the white knight?
Don't know. I don't know.
Possibility?
You never rule anything out because in the end, most of the spectrum that they have is with us already. So you just kind of add more spectrum.
But would it make strategic sense for you? Because as you said, there's already overlap as far as spectrum is concerned. But is this something that you would actively maybe consider?
We haven't come to a point of decision. We are in the process of looking at it for sure.
You are in the process of looking at it for sure.
So are others, I'm told. So it's not that we are the exclusive people working on it. There are many other people looking at it. It's clearly not the time to put too much money at stake to buy more stuff. And you know, our spectrum pool is very powerful, it's very good. We are putting out a lot of network. But you never say never, you look at things and also equally you advise your friends.
You've never been one to shy away from, from making audacious moves, Mr. Mittal. So, what do you feel like at this point in time? What's your gut telling you about the next big audacious move that you could make?
No, I think we have to focus more on the market, very clearly more networks, more technology. Pricing is already being disrupted with free, as you know. Everybody's coming up with their own offering. Voda, Idea, us, everybody's kind of jumping in with counter pricing to protect their turf. So it's going to be interesting year of turbulence. 2017 will be a difficult year from revenue generation, will be tough on margins, but equally it's going to start to clear a lot of issues in the telecom industry, regulatory-wise, competition-wise, small players consolidation. So I would say if you meet sometime next year here, you could be finally down to those 4 players in the market.
You've been saying this for a while, Mr. Mittal, for a very, very long time in several interviews that we've spoken of.
So we needed a Jio to do that, which we couldn't do ourselves.
But let me ask you about realizations and whether this disruption that we're seeing as far as the price model is concerned is going to change the pricing model altogether. Yes. Now people are talking about moving to a sort of bundled ARPU-led model. What is this going to mean as far as the industry is concerned?
Well, I think in India this has been overdue. India has been generally per minute, per MB model. And we were the founders of the per minute factory, as you know. We created that outsourcing model. I think the time is up now. It's run its life. I think we'll move to buckets, bundles, whatever you call them. And there will be low-end ARPUs, mid-end, and very high buckets. And that's what's happening in Europe, US, Japan, Singapore. So it's not something India is going to discover. But we are finally coming to the party where if minutes are going to be, voice minutes are going to be bundled in, time has come to look at bundles, buckets.
So as we move towards this new pricing model, in the interim, what is the hit going to be as far as realizations are concerned? We've continued to see them drop, but where this is in a sense at this point in time looks like a race to the bottom.
No, I mean in the end, volume and scale matters.
Will that offset it? Will the volume offset it?
To some extent, and eventually, if there are only 3 or 4 players, we have to serve the entire nation of 1.3 billion people. I think the volume will be justified.
But 3 or 4 players by when? And I want to ask this year.
I mean, if you really look at it, for the last 3 years, nearly 80% of the new revenue is between the 3 players. So the revenue consolidation has already happened in the last 3 years. 20% is with the smaller players, and they will be merging, exiting, consolidating. So that pool is going to disappear. That I can predict very safely now. If that pool is going to disappear, it's going to move towards Jio, to the existing players, and then you're going to get to 4 players. And plus BSNL, I'm not counting, they'll always be there. So I'm talking about 4 private players.
Since you're talking about consolidation, and that seems to be the theme that we've started on, let me ask you about what is being speculated on at this point in time, and that is the big mega merger, Vodafone and Idea. Since you talk to everybody, what are you hearing on that?
Well, I talk to them as well. My own view is everybody's looking at everything, but these are big moves. I mean, these are not small moves which can be done over coffee. Serious consideration and thoughtfulness will have to be given to such mergers. There are overlaps, there are spectrum cap issues. But I'm still saying 4. Can it go down to 3? The answer is not impossible.
Not impossible. But do you think that this, in the realm of possibility, how high would this mega merger be?
Depends on how much pain this disruption causes. If the pain is great, the possibility becomes higher.
What does your gut tell you today about the pain and whether it will lead to this eventuality?
Hard to say. You have to put yourself in somebody's mind. A foreign investor like Vodafone or an industrial empire like Birla's, what will they think? What will they want to do? So it's hard to say that. But rationality forces people to come up with the out-of-box solution. And a merger which happens all over the world.
Could this be an out-of-the-box solution, Vodafone and Idea?
I wouldn't rule it out. I think CLSA has just done a report of what that contour or shape will look like. So people are starting to talk about it. I mean, you saw Luxottica and Essilor merger. People are doing fantastic, big things in the world, So why should India not look at these big moves? And eventually, if you're going to really be a digital powerhouse, you need well-funded, strong balance sheets which can be endowed to take care of the digital piece of India. So bigger the better.
So if it were to come down to 3, good news for Bharti?
I always think so. Although Avoda Idea theoretically becomes bigger than us, but this is not a race to who's got the highest revenue market share. It is a race to a profitably viable, sustainable industry.
But in terms of revenue market share, you're at a 7-year high. What kind of headroom do you believe, given the kind of disruptive environment we're seeing for growth for you specifically, there is?
Well, look, my own view is the overall revenue table is not going to grow this year, given all the disruption that is there on pricing. But within that table, which may be same or slightly lower on revenue, we expect to gain market share from here.
But you expect revenue could perhaps even decline?
It could perhaps decline.
Since we're talking about exits and mergers, etc., Bharti Infratel now, and what is the plan? What is the update? Talks of KKR being the front runner. How much are you likely to offload? Will you offload entirely? What is the story on Bharti Infratel?
We have had interest from many people in the past. As you know, we did the IPO. No, first we did the private equity sale to a clutch of investors, including KKR and GIC and Temasek. Then we did the IPO, and after that we have done follow-on sales. And we are now down to about 72% share. We have been approached by people, controlling stake, minority stake.
Are you open to giving up on controlling stake?
I don't know. We have set up a committee which will look at all these offers, which will be given to the committee, and then we'll see what...
Is this a priority to get this done in 2017?
No. I wouldn't call it a priority. But equally, we have divested towers in Africa, and we have divested nearly 28% stake in Infratel. So it's something we are open to. But is this something...
What would tip the scale for you to be able to do this? Valuation would obviously just be one metric, I would imagine.
My own view is also a strategic view on the towers. How important is it for the mobile companies? Should you part with the asset? And at what price do you part with? Infratel has seen 500 rupees a share, has seen 150 rupees a share. What's the right price point for the shareholders to feel comfortable? And finally, I must say that Infratel and Indus both are doing very well. They are the best-in-class tower company in India. Even our biggest competitor now, the new competitor, Jio, is taking a lot of sites in that.
So what is the plan as far as debt reduction is concerned? You're sitting on a debt of a little over 81,000 crore rupees at this point in time. If you're saying that divestitures, etc., may not necessarily be a priority for you, you've done some in Africa already, perhaps you could see more. But what is the debt reduction scenario from here on?
We are actually not focused on debt reduction at the moment because we have a EBITDA of about $5 billion that takes care of all the new capex and a very heavy capex that we put in last 2 years have been big capex years. We put up 87,000 sites last year, which was a record outside China anywhere in the world. So there's enough cash being generated to take care of our needs of interest service. And you must also remember, where is my main debt? 5.75 billion is bonds, which are a determined time period when they come up for renewal. And equal part 5.75 billion is DOT debt, which is to be paid over 12 years. So large part of this debt, nearly $11.5 billion, has no covenants, has no pressure on the company. And the bank debts is only $1.5 billion. And in fact, banks always keep on telling us, you want more, take it, because banks have no stuffing of debt from our side. So our debt position has been very smart, that we have not clogged our banking lines. And what is the ratio? About 2.5, 2.6. Every other telecom company in India and around Asia is at a much higher level.
You talked about how the last 2 years have been big on capex. What is the outlook now as we look forward?
I think we have to roll out more networks. It's all about network, more fiber.
What would it entail in terms of investments?
Typically, last year we spent 15,000 crores. This year would be, because we did a big lifting last year, maybe 11, 12,000 crores. So order of magnitude remains the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about 11,000 to 12,000 annually, is that
Annually,
that what you're looking at?
Yes.
You started the conversation saying that you felt that you were, or you hope that you're behind a lot of these issues, especially when it comes to regulatory sort of run-ins. But you're back in that same space, aren't you? I mean, you're back to the TRAI, you're back to the TDSAT, you're back to the DOT, you're dealing with penalties. The regulatory environment gone back to where it was a few years ago?
I think when a new player comes in, there are always regulatory moves. Is it predatory? Is free right or not?
But they've said it's not.
Is POIs being given properly or not? So all these things.
Is the POI matter now resolved?
I think I had said this even in the last interview. POI can never be an issue where you can stand up and say, I will use this as a weapon.
But it was made an issue.
Not an issue, because suddenly somebody starts services. I mean, you decide, suddenly to say, I want to do something overnight. You need to have planning. I mean, POIs are not something that you click on a button. And the fact is now Jio has probably more POIs given to them in a matter of 4 months than would or Idea have in 20 years. So a lot of stuff has been done.
On the quality of service issues that the TRAI is monitoring very, very closely, the DOT has imposed penalties on...
DOT has not imposed penalties.
I thought they...
TRAI has made a recommendation.
Made a recommendation to impose penalties, and of course that matter is probably going to play its course out. But from a consumer point of view, is this not going to be a key differentiator now, specifically in a very, very competitive market? I mean, quality is going to be a key criteria, is it not?
I agree, and that's what we thrive on. You yourself said we are at a 7-year market share high. That clearly suggests that we are providing something that the customer likes.
What more can we expect now, in terms of tweaking the business model, in terms of what you would like to change, bracing yourselves for maybe 4, maybe 3? What can we expect now in terms of future action from you?
No, nothing dramatic. I mean, we have been doing this for the last 20 years. We'll keep on doing more. New technologies being put in. We've got spectrum pool, which is the richest in the industry now. We've spent, nearly $16 billion in spectrum now. And spectrum story is pretty much done. 1 or 2 pockets, we'll probably take some more. And it's all about now network rollout, ensuring customers are satisfied with the services that we offer, digitizing more stuff. Brand is doing very well. Distribution is good. Payment bank is launched. That's the next big wave. We are opening up a lot of bank accounts every day, mostly in rural India and villages where nobody else is present.
But the focus on, and you pointed that out by saying that, return on capital. I mean, is that going to be now the focus areas? I mean, how do you start to, once again, generate value?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If this industry has to create value, it's not about Airtel. If this industry has to create value, Airtel will be at the forefront of creating the value, given a lot of investment, a lot of heavy lifting is behind us, and the balance sheet is strong, customer base is strong. So my own view is you will see value returning to this industry. Is it 6 months? Sometimes things turn very fast. In 2002, when the share price went from 45 to 19, we saw in about 6 to 8 months it started to climb and went all the way up to 1100 from 19 rupees. So when it returns back to the big operators very, very quickly. So my own hope is, eventually, I am hoping that Jio is making investments to have capital returns after they have satiated their needs for, initial phase of customers. They will start to build one day, whatever day they decide. They will want returns. And my own view is that more sustainable environment will return to it. If you're asking me, tomorrow will your margins improve? Will the top line shoot up tomorrow? The answer is no. But will the data volume go up? Will the minutes grow? Yes.
What is the expectation there really as far as data usage is concerned? I mean, so far the lion's share for every operator has been voice calls. Now with this business of voice calls being free, what can we truly anticipate in terms of the mix changing and also in terms of data usage going up?
I think it's what you said in the beginning. Bundles, buckets, it doesn't matter. Once you take a certain amount of money, today the ARPUs that the industry has is 150 to 175 rupees, Airtel being at the top end. Can we maintain those ARPUs and, or even better, get 250 rupees but throw in a lot of data, a lot of voice free? But if that can be value accretive or ARPU accretive, I think this industry can be in good shape. It will require you to invest more because you're certainly offering many more minutes, many more data capacities, which means serious investments. And that's where the smaller operators start to struggle.
I also want to talk to you about the payment bank, the first payment bank in India. So congratulations on that. I was having a chat with Mr. Kotak, who was there for the launch, a 20% stakeholder as well. And, I asked him what he thought the aspiration was as far as the payment bank is concerned. And he, of course, was basing his projection on the growth that the bank could see on the kind of customers that Bharti has. What is your own aspiration as far as that business is concerned?
So we have about 265 million customers in India. We would hope that 100 million of them would be converted into having bank accounts within the next 12 months. And that's a big number. And given our reach and size, I think it will be possible. But more importantly, delightfully, because for 10 years there's been a battle going on for financial inclusion and mobile companies being allowed to be truly in that space. As you know, the banks were not happy with this move. I think this is going to make a difference to financial inclusion. The Prime Minister's vision of a digital India, you just have to, less than a minute, you put your thumb on a scanner and you walk out with your account, which is your mobile number. It's so powerful. No charge on transactions, no charge on transmission, which means when you're remitting money out. So there's no charge if the money stays in the digital form. It's only when you cash out from the shops.
So there is a charge, you're confirming that?
Only when you cash out. There's only charge on cash out.
Okay.
And that we want to discourage because in the new world way of India.
Era. So the new demonetization era.
Why encourage cash? Plus, in the whole chain, you have to make money somewhere. So make it at a point where you want to incentivize people to use it.
I asked Mr. Kotak that question and I'll ask you as well. In a sense, would you describe this as an Uber-like moment for the financial services space in India?
It could become. It could really become. And if one or two more players come into this, imagine, in the rural hinterlands, people are, if you go to Kenya, that's what they do. School fees, auto rickshaw, electricity, everything is on the phone. Why can't we do it here? And you carry your money in your phone, especially women folk who can have the money on their phone. The security is kind of surety for them to deal with it. They don't have to stand in queues. Pay everything. I think we are looking at something transformational here.
Speaking of transformational, what's the outlook as far as India is concerned? You're here in Davos speaking with business leaders, global business leaders. How strongly do they feel about India today? What's your own assessment of the India story? Private sector investment hasn't really taken off. Do you believe that perhaps 2017 could see the start of that?
I think if you really look back, there were lots of projects which were stuck on the last mile. So people had to complete those projects to start new cycles. But you can see, you talk to Jindals, they're putting more money in steel. Mukesh is putting a lot of money in various areas. We are investing thousands and thousands of crores, over 10,000 crores into capex. So there are certain pockets where investments are going. And if you talk to the world, they are so focused on India that how are you growing at 7%? And to my mind, India is in a great spot with FDI. We're having record FDIs coming through. That is substituting some of the Indian investment which has not gone through in the last 2 or 3 years. On the back of that, Indian industry will have to sit up and wake up and start to invest. Otherwise, they cede ground a lot.
So let me end then by asking you, Mr. Mittal, as you look at the year ahead, what would you identify as the number one risk facing the industry?
I think, if you really ask me, spectrum was, if you asked me this last year or two,
that was the big risk
that's
then.
behind us.
Yeah.
Spectrum is plentiful, and the lifeline of this industry, spectrum, is still very expensive. I hope that the government will revisit this and bring the spectrum prices down in terms of its base price and put spectrum to use rather than not putting it to use. So that's behind us. Consolidation, I've been saying this for a long time. I could be wrong one more time, but I think we are really at the turnaround where consolidation will happen. So that's behind us. The only thing now is, if everybody is going to, as you said, race to the bottom, everybody sort of prices down, has no sanity, then things can get tougher for more than a year. But if I look at the plans that all of us are putting out, there's a method behind the madness. You give a lot of
Is
GBs.
there?
Yes, there's a lot of GBs you give. I give 4 GB. But see, you get 250 rupees, you get 399 rupees, you get 499 rupees. So you're trying to also increase your ARPUs. And that is the right thing to do. And when people get used to videos on mobile phone, a lot of consumption, they will end up spending more than 150 to 175 they're spending today.
So do you feel a lot more confident about where things are today and your ability to be able to cope with them, not just as a company but as an industry as well?
I mean, we are veterans of 22 years.
Yes.
We've seen so many ups and downs. I think a lot of people wish us very well. We got a great amount of support from everywhere. People are rooting for our success. I personally believe, and I meet so many people, and I've met hundreds of people here. There is a sense that you can get that people want us to succeed in our industry, where we have done a lot of work, pioneering work, I would say. My own view is that in the end, this is a business. You don't have to make it more than that. You have to make it a sustainable business. It's not about being number one, having any egos on our side. I hope that this industry will settle its issues. POI will be behind us, if not already behind us. Spectrum is already done. Once Jio gets his momentum, starts to build out, I think the industry will settle down.
Mr. Mittal, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining us here, and I wish you the very best of luck, sir. And I do hope that the next conversation that we do have, it is 4, if not 3. Yeah. 4. Okay, so you're going with 4. You're going with 4. All right. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Thanks. Appreciate you joining us.
I hope you're
here.
rooting for us as well.
Always, sir, always. How long have you known me?
Long enough.
With that, it is time for us to wrap up this special from all of us here. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.